Hello, this is William Michael of the Classical Liberal Arts Academy, and this evening I published an article titled How to Earn a High School Diploma in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy. How to Earn a High School Diploma in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy. It was a post that I published earlier this evening, and in this post I explain to homeschooling parents how they can complete modern high school diploma requirements using courses available in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy. I went into good detail, listed all the courses and how they align with high school diploma requirements, and what I'd like to do tonight is provide a video that kind of goes into some detail on what I explained in that post to provide a little more information, a little more of context for what I shared there. So I recommend that you take a look at that post. There's a link to it in the left menu of the Academy website. Again, the title is How to Earn a High School Diploma in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy, and we're going to talk about that a bit in this video. I'd also like to recommend, if you're thinking about homeschooling and the challenges of things like diplomas and transcripts and requirements and trying to understand these things, and you're not comfortable with these ideas as a homeschooling parent, I recommend two other videos that I've made recently. One is called The Purpose of a Teacher. That video describes 4 different types of students, their needs, which are unique, and how a teacher serves those different needs. And the second video, which follows up after that one, is titled Why Christian Homeschooling Doesn't Work and How to Fix It. So before you watch this video, you might want to take some time to go back and watch those 2 videos, because this video is following on the content of those other 2 videos. Now, before I get into this, I want to put things in context, because I'm a 45-year-old homeschooling father of 10 children, ages 21 down through 6. My eldest 3 children are finished with their homeschool studies and are in college now. I also have 3 high school students currently at home. So over the past few years and for the next few years to come, I am right in the thick of all of the practical issues relating to vocational discernment, college application, career choices, high school diplomas, transcripts, finishing studies, standardized tests, all of these high school, college preparatory issues. As a father, I'm right in the midst of all of these issues, dealing with them with my own children. Before I started the Classical Liberal Arts Academy, I was an upper school college preparatory teacher in a private school here in Charlotte. So I've been working with these issues of college preparation, college applications, letters of reference, standardized test preparations, all these things for quite a long time. And I've had experience both as an upper school teacher working with students getting ready for college, and most recently as a homeschooling father dealing with all of these issues. As I said, my oldest 3 children are currently in college, ages 21, 20, and 18, and each of the 3 of them had no education other than what's been available in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy. All 3 of them applied to college with a homeschool transcript. All 3 of them have been admitted to college and so far the eldest two have been very successful in their college studies. The youngest of the three is just getting started. So their CLAA preparation has equipped them for successful college studies. I never heard a word about their homeschool transcript. There was never an issue, never a question. The only question that I received was for the youngest of those three children, when he joined the Army Reserves, and when we submitted his application, I got a letter in the mail just asking me to confirm the information that had been provided with his application, and that was it. I never received any other questions. There were no issues. They did very well on admission testing and things like that, and in their studies, they've been doing very well. A's and B's, doing great. So the Classical Liberal Arts Academy can not only give Catholic children the opportunity to study the classical Catholic curriculum, courses that were studied and taught by saints and wise men through history, it can also successfully prepare young adults for a transition into whatever occupation or college program they need to pursue their future vocations and occupations in life. And I've handled these things not just as a father to my children, but also as a full-time professional school administrator, curriculum publisher, and so on. So I've had to think about a lot of these things to deal with my own responsibilities personally. And tonight, in publishing this article on how to use the Classical Liberal Arts Academy to provide your children with a high school diploma, I think I take a bunch of that practical experience that I've been working with the past few years and make it available to the Academy community, to other parents, so hopefully we can help your children also make these transitions and help you as a parent to not have to stress about these things, but understand exactly what needs to be done, how to do it, so that you can focus on just helping the kids do it, while also staying focused on the goals of Christian education. So let's walk through this tonight and talk about how a student being provided with a classical Catholic education can also address these issues of a high school diploma, transcript, college admission, all that stuff. Let's get into the details. When it comes to a high school diploma, I'd like you to realize that we're talking about something that's unique and specific. And I ask parents and students to compare it to a driver's license. Because in homeschooling, our kids are often going through their studies, they're in their normal family and life routine, and then one of the few outside issues that comes up is the need to prepare and test for a driver's license. And when that time comes, usually there are some time frames and deadlines and things that need to be addressed. But when that idea of preparing for and testing to obtain a driver's license comes, we deal with it as homeschool families in a certain way. We realize that it's just this one isolated thing. We realize that there's just one or two necessary tests that have to be prepared for and passed. And then we understand that we're going to obtain that license, and that's it. We get back to real life. A high school diploma is like a driver's license. It's just a unique individual achievement that's obtained and then is only significant for a brief window of time in our lives, and then after that becomes irrelevant. And we have to treat it like that. We have to understand that just as the time comes to prepare for the driver's license, so the time comes to prepare for the high school diploma. And that's how we need to consider it and treat it, so we can stay focused on our classical Catholic studies and then address this issue when the time comes. So I'd like you to keep in mind the idea of a driver's license and think of a high school diploma as another kind of license that needs to be obtained around the same time in a child's life. And as I said, the high school diploma is significant for a brief window of time in our lives, because we need the diploma to take the next step, whether it's join the military, get our first job, apply to college, and so on. Once we're past that stage in life, it's very rarely needed again. It's just like an SAT test. The SAT is important until the day that you're admitted into the college that you want to attend, and then after that, you never need to talk about it again. So the high school diploma is something we want to do well, but we don't want to allow our concern for the high school diploma to break free of all boundaries and affect the rest of our children's education, because it shouldn't. Okay, so we need to treat it like a driver's license, something that we want to complete and obtain and then put in a file folder and ignore and get back to life. We have to consider, what are the high school diploma requirements? And this is really challenging for homeschool parents. I think it's especially challenging for parents who are interested in classical Catholic studies, because our kids are being pushed by us parents to pursue loftier goals and higher standards than modern schools require. When the time comes to prepare high school documentation, like a transcript or a diploma, parents often get confused by their desire to get everything that the kid has done onto the transcript or somehow signified by the diploma. They think of the transcript as a single document that, once it's finished, it needs to be folded up and put in a sealed envelope, and that's your transcript forever. Because in our experience in school, that's how the transcript was treated. You had to purchase a copy of a transcript, or you received a copy from the school, and it would be on school letterhead, folded in an envelope. The envelope might be sealed, and they treated it like it was some kind of top secret document. And many parents think of the transcript in the same way. That's why they're afraid to make their own transcript. They feel like it's not official. But it is official, because a homeschooling parent is a real school administrator. But you may need to make multiple editions or versions of a transcript to serve different circumstances. For example, when each of my eldest 3 children has chosen to pursue a career in the U.S. military, as part of their application process, they needed to provide a proof of a high school diploma and a high school transcript. Now, I know what the military is looking for in that transcript or on that diploma. They don't care about classical studies. They don't care about religious studies. They're looking for the normal high school core curriculum to make sure that the kids have completed all of those modern studies. And so I can prepare a transcript for that context, which simply shows that the core courses have been completed. I had another student apply to a religious community, to a college seminary, and I knew that the admissions people at the college seminary would be very interested in seeing all the details of his classical Catholic studies. That transcript needs to be prepared differently than the other transcript, even if it's the same kid dealing with two different situations. Two different versions of the transcript can be produced. They're both true, but they're intended to serve two different audiences that are seeking and looking for two different sets of information. So this issue of transcripts is not so black and white as most of us experienced in handling our own school transcripts. And we can talk about that some other time. The diploma requirements are very specific, and we're talking about modern school diploma requirements. In your state, you can probably hop on Google and just type high school graduation requirements in the name of your state, in North Carolina, in Georgia, whatever. The State Department of Education will provide you with an outline of the courses that are required for a high school diploma in your state. And that's the set of rules that all of the public schools follow in your state. Now, if you need a high school diploma simply for some secular context, you might as well look at that set of requirements and create a transcript that shows what those standards are concerned with. There's no use putting more because no one cares. And it may just cause distraction or cause them to think differently about the quality of those modern studies. It may just cause trouble by adding more information that no one is asking for to begin with. A college admission is a different story because you're trying to show the breadth and depth of your studies. You're trying to show that the child has pursued the most challenging possible program of studies that you could find. So the college application wants a transcript that's loaded. But if a kid needs a transcript for a driver's license or just any secular need or context, there's no reason to have everything from their academic past in this transcript where no one is really concerned about the academic content of the kid's education. It's just a formality. So when we get into these diploma discussions, we want to make sure that we're talking about real requirements and not creating stress. And I want to make this clear because I think this is the kind of thing that homeschooled parents do to torment themselves and create all kinds of anxiety and confusion and bad decisions by simply not understanding what they're doing and what they need to do and how simple it is. The diploma requirements are very specific, very simple. They're concerned with 5 basic subject areas. 5 basic subject areas: English, mathematics, natural sciences, history and social studies, and foreign language. That's it. Those are the modern school requirements. If a child has these taken care of, anything else is just gravy. It's just extra. It's icing on the cupcake. But these are the real bread or meat of the high school diploma. 4 high school credits in English, 4 high school credits in mathematics, 4 high school credits in the natural sciences, 4 high school credits in history and social studies, and 4 high school credits in a foreign language. 1 foreign language. So we don't want 4 different languages, level 1 of 4 languages. We want level 1, 2, 3, and 4 of 1 language. Okay, that's the concern of a high school diploma. In the other video that I mentioned on why Christian homeschooling doesn't work and how to fix it, I explained what credits are and all that sort of stuff and talked about that in detail. So if you'd like to learn more about that, watch that other video. But these are the requirements for the high school diploma. Okay, it's got nothing to do with philosophy or theology or any advanced studies in classical languages or anything like that. Nothing to do with those subjects. These are the core requirements of the high school diploma. And in giving your child a diploma, a high school diploma, these are the only things that you should be concerned with. I try to warn homeschool parents that they understand what the requirements are, because many homeschool parents, they have a hard time separating their own personal religious goals in homeschooling from legal requirements for something like a high school diploma. And they end up penalizing their children for homeschooling. And homeschool parents need to be careful about that. These are all the studies that your child needs for a high school diploma in modern society. And when they finish these studies, you should give them a high school diploma. Now, you could, if you wanted to, you could say, I'm not going to give you a diploma unless you also finish all of your theology studies and all of your philosophy studies, and you study Greek as well as Latin, and you know, on and on. But I think that that's going to create more problems than it's going to offer any benefits. When it comes to the high school diploma, like the driver's license, there's no classical Catholic driver's license. Likewise, there's no need for a classical Catholic high school diploma. A high school diploma is required for very simple, practical issues when a kid is getting into early adulthood. Don't penalize the kid for being homeschooled. When he satisfies the state requirements for a high school diploma, give him a high school diploma, and that's that. Treat it just like a driver's license. Don't make more of the high school diploma, because it doesn't accomplish anything. The diploma is just the diploma. It represents the completion of a modern high school curriculum. So let the diploma just be that, all right? 4 credits in each of these 5 subject areas. That's easy to understand. The challenge is, okay, how do we satisfy these requirements? How do we satisfy these requirements? And as I said, the state gets into more detail. They provide some specific recommendations. If you look at that article that I published, I go into those details, and in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy, I've established courses for every single requirement of this high school diploma. So there's 6 courses that if the student completes those 6 courses in the academy, he can easily satisfy or exceed 4 years of high school English. And just off the top of my head, those courses are classical grammar, not Latin grammar, just classical grammar. That's an English grammar course, English composition, and then the 4 English literature courses, English literature 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you've got 4 years of English literature, and then you've got these 2 general courses that deal with skills. You've got classical grammar that teaches the rules of grammar in English, and English composition, which covers writing skills. Those 6 courses in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy will satisfy all requirements of the 4 years or 4 high school credits in English that are necessary. In mathematics, you have to acknowledge that we're talking about modern school mathematics. We're not talking about the ancient quadrivium, not talking about classical Euclidean geometry or classical astronomy or classical music. We're not talking about those subjects. We're talking about modern school mathematics, and that comes down to 4 courses, all of which are available in the academy. Algebra 1, freshman year, plane geometry, that's Plane, geometry, plane geometry, algebra 2, and then geometry and trigonometry. Those 4 courses, all available in the Academy, will satisfy, will exceed all high school diploma mathematics requirements. Okay, so that can be taken care of. Natural sciences. You may find only 2 years of natural science required, 3 sometimes, and a selective college is going to want to see 4. So you should consider 4 high school credits in natural sciences. Now, what I recommend for that, in the Academy, we have a modern biology course, which is intended to serve this requirement. That should be taken freshman year. Biology is simple memory work, so it doesn't require much other than effort. Modern physics, we have a modern physics course available. We have a modern chemistry course available, and that will provide 3 years of the standard natural science subjects of the high school diploma requirement, and that will leave a 4th year. And you have an option there. You can either add a 4th modern science, which we can provide in the Academy, and I'm still looking at my options there, or you can use that 4th year to add some classical natural philosophy, which I think would be very helpful and interesting for the kids' studies. So natural sciences are all provided for, and you can complete them in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy. Then we come to history and social sciences, or social studies, I should say. In the Academy, freshman year, it's normally recommended that students take a world history course. And my recommendation for that course in the Academy is the popular World Chronology program. The World Chronology course is a course that I wrote. It's a complete survey of world history from the beginning of the ancient world, 3500 BC, all the way through until the dawn of the modern age, the Protestant Reformation, Scientific Revolution, discovery of America, and so on. That's a very popular course, and that course is actually a course that I taught as a freshman history teacher at the private school here in Charlotte where I worked. So that really was created as a high school history course. My goal in that course was to provide the students with a clear Christian perspective of world history, but more importantly, the memorization of the key dates in world history so that they would go into their future years of high school studies with a clear sense of the chronology of world history. So that's a very valuable course and is perfect for freshman world history. So world chronology will be the first course in history and social studies. The second year, history and social studies, I recommend a course that's on the Academy website in American history. So you have world chronology freshman year, American history sophomore year. Junior year, there's a course titled American Government, which is a great course teaching all of the principles and history and development of the American government. That would be course number 3 in history and social studies. And the 4th and final course would be economics. There's an economics course. These are listed in the humanities section of the course list. So you'll find world chronology, American history, American government, and economics as the 4 history and social science courses or social studies courses recommended for a high school diploma. And then last, foreign language is easy enough. I'd recommend that Latin be the foreign language. And I'd recommend that the kids take Latin vocabulary, Latin reading 1, Latin grammar 1, Latin reading 2, and Latin grammar 2. Those 5 courses to satisfy the requirements of 4 high school credits in foreign language, easily exceed those requirements. Okay, so all of those courses that I've named, if you look up that article that I posted on the website about how to earn a high school diploma in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy, not only will you see the list of the courses that I've just named for you, but they're all linked to the course page in the study center. So it's very convenient for you to see the course list and just click on them and add them. Add them to your children's accounts and let them get started. That's what's required to satisfy all of the high school diploma requirements within your pre-existing, already active studies in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy. You don't need to go crazy. You don't need to buy books and find all kinds of programs and spend thousands of dollars. You can pursue all of those studies in the same way that you're already pursuing classical Catholic studies, without any distraction, in the same system, using all of the tools and resources the kids are already familiar with, and they can work on these high school studies all day, every day, all year long. As early as you want to get them started, they can work right through their high school years and complete all their high school requirements. So I think it gives them a great opportunity. And another great thing about this is, as we build the study center and we make all of the study center courses available for free with online quizzes, the kids can get started and work in these courses as much as they're able at no cost. And then when you come to a point, and I'll talk about this in a minute, where you feel like the kids really start to need to have assignments reviewed and graded, or to have tutorial support, live chat available, you can simply arrange that when the time comes and get these high school studies done as financially efficiently as possible, which should be a goal. And I'd like to help you to do that. So all of these requirements of the modern high school diploma can be completed within the Classical Liberal Arts Academy. And I think that that's some great news. Now, a few final things to talk about. One is a transcript. It's important for you to realize that, and I've already mentioned this a little bit, but it's important for you to remember that the diploma and the transcript are 2 completely different things. The diploma is simply a certificate to show that a child has completed his high school studies and is basically free to work. It's usually a symbol of adulthood because the kids receive the diploma around age 18 and they can go pursue full-time work at that point. And the diploma is a certificate that says this kid isn't a high school dropout, he's finished his high school studies and he can work, or he can go to school, whatever. The diploma, as I've said, is just like a driver's license, okay? That's one thing, and we need to make sure we keep that simple. It's just a certificate that says the kid is done with his high school studies, and we shouldn't make any more of it than that. The transcript is the more important issue. No one's going to get admitted into college because of his diploma. It's the transcript that really gets into the details of what the student has done. And so, as I said, the transcript is much more complicated, especially when we consider that there are different contexts, and the transcript may actually need to be edited to serve different contexts more effectively. As a homeschooling parent, you can do that. And again, we're not lying on these transcripts. We're not faking things on these transcripts. We're simply delivering to different audiences different content on the transcript to serve their different interests. Just like if I was writing a speech to 2 different audiences, I would write 2 different speeches. Not because one is true and one is false, or because I'm pretending to be something I'm not. It's because the contexts are different. And so the transcripts can also be different. Transcripts are complicated. We have to be very careful when the time comes for transcripts, because leaving something off or forgetting to represent some work that was done or any kind of mistake can significantly harm the student's possibility of getting into a selective school or something else. We need to be very careful with transcripts. That's a complicated topic. Diploma is very simple, so keep those two things separate in your mind. On the article that I published about earning a diploma, there's a section about transcripts, and I've even provided a transcript template that you can look at where I show you how I set up a transcript for my own kids and how you as a homeschool parent can easily prepare a transcript that simply provides the information that whoever you're sending the transcript to would need, and you can do it in a very simple way. You can add as much as you'd like or leave off as much as you'd like, and I provide a template for you to work with to create a transcript. And I can help you with that some other time, but that's in that article. The next thing is enrichment. Once we know that these modern high school diploma requirements are taken care of, we can feel a sense of relief. We know that these are taken care of. We know the diploma is either going to be taken care of or is being taken care of. Then we can take a breath. Usually, parents are anxious and uncertain about what to do until they can get a sense that these modern requirements are taken care of. Once we have a sense that these are taken care of, it frees us to think about other studies and other goals and other pursuits and get after them, because we know that we're safe. And that's a good way to think about it too. We have to give to Caesar what is Caesar's and to God what is God's. I talked about this in the previous video. That anxiety we feel is real. And I see homeschool communities where there will be a mother who's homeschooling and she'll say, I feel so anxious. I feel like I'm letting my kids down. I feel like I'm not doing a good job. I feel like I'm not giving my son all that he needs. And you can see there's this sense of uncertainty and torment in this homeschool mother, and it's probably because what she's saying is true. And the homeschool community will rally around her and just tell her to ignore all of that, tell her that she's doing great, tell her nothing matters, all that matters is that and that's not true. That's not true. That anxiety we feel, that uncertainty we feel, that burden that we feel is something that's very important, and we have to make sure we address it responsibly, because we're dealing with the only education our children get, and it's not something for us to play with. So that anxiety is healthy and good, and it's leading us to try and seek a solution that allows us to genuinely and truly shed that anxiety and know that we're doing what we should. When we know that these requirements are being taken care of, and we know that our kid's on track to get a high school diploma, that allows us to breathe easily. And then with studies, we feel much more confident and willing to take some risks and go for some higher standards and raise the bar and try to get some more challenging studies done, because those risks at that point are safe risks to take, because we've already got the basics taken care of. And it's very important as a homeschooling family to get yourself into that position where your responsibilities are taken care of, and now you're free to get after some higher goals. That's a good place to be. That's a place you have to work really hard to get to that place. And when you get there, things start to improve exponentially. So when it comes to enrichment, when we've got these things taken care of, and we say, okay, all the boxes are checked, all of the requirements are taken care of, what should we pursue in addition to these things? Because remember, the selective colleges and universities don't want to see this on a college application. This is the default. This is the requirement for a diploma. This is not the requirement for college admission. And what the colleges say very clearly is they want to see students who seek out and take the most challenging course of studies that's available to them. So a college does not want to see this on a transcript. This is to be taken for granted. You know, it's like when kids apply to Ivy League schools. You have to have a 4.0 or a very high grade point average to even be considered for admission to an Ivy League school. You have to have an SAT score up into the upper 1400s, 1500, 16 out of 1600. You have to have those numbers. You have to have AP classes. You have to have all of these different things you have to be considered for admission. But once you have them, they all become irrelevant because everyone applying has those things. And the question is, okay, you've got the 3.9 GPA. You've got the 1520 SAT score. You've got 5 AP courses. You've got all of this, but so what? Everyone has that who's applying to this school. What else do you have? And the what else determines whether a student is admitted or denied. And so it's a tricky game. But this has nothing to do with college admission. You have to do this because this is required for the diploma. But every kid applying to a selective college already has this, and it becomes irrelevant. As soon as the diploma is shown to the college admission board, it's irrelevant. Everyone has this. It's about GPA, standardized test scores, promise in a certain field, and as I said, the personal character of the student. And this is where Christian families really fail because they don't understand this culture. Their political views really blind them to certain things like equal opportunity and all of these modern social issues that are involved in college admission and the diversity of a college campus and the mission of a university. Many Christians have screwy ideas about these things because they have political views that demonize these things and make evil out of them. And what they don't understand is that these are the things that actually give us freedom as Christians to just be Christians. So if I apply to a university, I can apply as a Christian. And I can be pretty excited about that because these diversity issues, equal opportunity issues, all of these things allow me to just be a Christian. And as long as I can articulate my views, as long as I am respectful in discussion, as long as I present arguments and support for things I say, I'm not prejudiced, I'm not biased, and I'm able to get along with people who don't agree with me and have reasonable, productive conversations. That's the kind of thing that a university is looking for. And these issues of diversity, equal, they benefit Christians, and we need to learn to just comfortably identify as Christians, speak reasonably, respectfully, clearly, and we'll find that modern society is not against us. And that whole mindset of the persecuted Christian, we're all being persecuted, everyone's against us, that's all false. And we need to make sure kids are free from that thinking, because when it comes time to apply for admission to a college, they need to very comfortably and confidently present themselves as Christians, because they're welcome in colleges and universities, and anyone who says otherwise is speaking contrary to the facts. When it comes to enrichment, we want to show, our students, our children, should want to show that while they satisfied all of these requirements, when they had the opportunity given to them, they pursued more. They pursued more by their own will, by their own desire. They sacrificed pleasure, they disciplined themselves, they budgeted their time responsibly, and they show that they're personally interested in learning more than is just required by their high school diploma program. And that can be done through enrichment. And the purpose of these enrichment studies is to separate oneself and show oneself to be truly zealous for wisdom and learning and business or activity or ministry or whatever is the individual's interest and future ambition. They want to show that that ambition is real and sincere. And one way to show that is by pursuing studies that go above and beyond what's required by the high school transcript. On that article, I've made a list of recommended courses that should be the first courses students consider to enrich the modern high school diploma program. So that's included in that article. And then lastly, the last thing I want to talk about is the difference between pursuing these studies and pursuing academy studies in general, taking advantage of the free enrollment opportunity versus a paid enrollment, all right? In the academy, I am serving homeschooled students. The parents are in charge of their education. The Classical Liberal Arts Academy is not a private school. I don't have control over the children's daily attendance. I don't have control over their schedule. I don't have control over their culture, their activities. I don't have any control as a school headmaster would. They're homeschooled students. And as we think about these things, when I lay out and plan what we make available in the academy, I think about the reality that I'm serving homeschooled students. And I think other programs rip homeschool families off. I try to make the program available as affordably as possible because I understand that the homeschool parent is doing most of the work. They're providing the facilities for the school. I don't have to provide that. They're providing supervision for the students. I don't have to provide that. They're providing all of the resources. They're paying for the computers. They're paying for the utilities, the internet, on and on and on. All of that burden is being borne by the homeschool parent. In a private school, I would have to bear all that burden. And the way I would deal with it would be through tuition. But in a homeschool environment, I'm not responsible for those things. The parent is already providing all of those benefits to the student and to me, the teacher. And so when I consider what we should make available to homeschool students and what the cost of that should be, as I said, I think homeschool programs, by setting their prices close to private school prices, are just ripping homeschool parents off. And homeschool parents accept it by looking at the prices of a private school and then thinking that it's okay for them to pay a similar rate to have the kids study at home, which makes no sense at all. Because as I said, none of the benefits being provided by the private school are being provided by the homeschool program. The homeschool parents are doing all the work, paying all the bills, providing all of the support, facilities, resources, utilities, on and on and on. And there should be some reward for doing that. And the reward should be that homeschool studies are very, very affordable, almost free. And that's what motivates me to make these programs affordable to homeschool families. Almost every book that we need to study in a classical Catholic curriculum is an ancient book that's in the public domain. I don't have to write these books. And so if all I have to do is make that book available, there's no reason someone needs to pay for that. If I make a quiz, sure, it might take me an hour to make a good online quiz for a lesson. But I make that quiz once and divide it among all the students, all the times they take it, over years and years. No one should have to pay me $10 to take a quiz. Because if you multiply that $10 times all the students who take the quiz and then divide it by the amount of time that I had to spend to make that quiz, I'd be making $1 million an hour. And it's just a silly way to think about the value of a service. And so as far as online course materials, me doing the work of researching, restoring the curriculum, organizing the curriculum, making it conveniently available and accessible to Catholic families, a lot of that I consider to be my own Christian service to the community. And I don't think it's appropriate to charge people for that. Otherwise, I'm just forfeiting all my own merit and really am not doing anything freely or voluntarily in the service of God. I'm just charging people for every single time I lift a finger, and that's not what I'm interested in doing. So as far as the free enrollment is concerned, having a student account, being able to enroll in courses and access all of the study materials, benefiting from the work that I've done in research and restoration of the curriculum, and then making use of online quizzes that I only need to make once, they're automatically scored. All of those things can be offered freely, and I'd like to offer them freely. And I welcome homeschool students to make use of them. I don't sit around wringing my hands because students are using the program freely. My mission is to promote classical Catholic studies, and it's necessary for me to do that in order to promote them. However, there's a limit where the kids are only going to be able to progress so much and master the content so far with access to studies and online quizzes. There just comes a point where if the parents' goals are for the kids to go higher than that, to gain more mastery than mere quiz knowledge, but to really learn to articulate the ideas, to answer comprehension questions, to write well, to have expert review and feedback for their written work, to provide tutorial support, to have someone to talk to have access to live help, on, these sorts of things. That's where paid enrollment comes in. Number one, it's because you're asking me to spend direct one-on-one time with your child for his benefit. That's not for the community, that's not for all students, that's not for the Classical Liberal Arts Academy, that's for your child. And that kind of one-on-one work that takes me away from everyone else is work that needs to be paid. So the review and grading of assignments belongs to paid enrollment. If you'd like your child to be able to chat with me, meet with me for chat meetings, have back and forth chats with me, one-on-one, privately, live chat, that's something that needs to be paid for. So live grading, live tutorial support, things like that where you're asking me to sit down and work one-on-one with your child for your child's benefit, that's paid service. But the general service and work of the Classical Liberal Arts Academy is free, and I want it to be free. But as I said, for most kids, you're going to get to a point in at least some of these courses where you want them to write, you want them to have reviews, you want them to have graded written work, you want them to have live support, you want them to have access to tutoring. And another issue is when they're getting ready to graduate and finish, you're going to be looking for a reference letter, someone who knows their studies and has experience with them. All of those private services come with paid enrollment. So I invite students to come in and get started and work taking advantage of free enrollment. And if they can make progress, if that's all the help that they need, maybe mom or dad can supplement what's available for free and make it work, great. That's what that's intended for. And there are people who will do that. But if mom and dad decide that they want help for the kids, they want graded review work, they want tutoring help, things like that, it's available through paid enrollment. And the paid enrollment come in a couple of different forms. Let me just say this while we're talking about it. First of all, you can purchase a simple enrollment subscription like the student plan, $25 a month at present. Covers all courses, provides for assignment grading, live support, $25 a month per student. You really can't beat that. Premium support adds to all of that on-demand grading so that when a student finishes an assignment, he can get on live chat, submit it, say, hey, Mr. Michael, I just submitted my assignment. Can you grade it? And I'll turn around and grade it right on the spot. On-demand grading, which is very encouraging to the kids. Live tutorial support and a weekly one-on-one, 1 hour live chat session. That's included in premium support. One student, $25 a month for the student plan. One student, $125 a month for the premium student plan. And then you've got a family plan, which is $100 a month for the whole family to have full access to the curriculum with paid enrollment. And then $500 a month. It sounds like a lot until you break it all down. For that 1 hour, one-on-one live chat every week for each student in the family, plus on-demand grading and the other benefits that I mentioned. So there are subscription service options which are still affordable. As I said, when you break the numbers down into what's made available, it's very affordable. It's like tutoring for $25 an hour, whereas hourly tutoring could normally get a teacher $70+ an hour. I know I could get tutoring for over $70 an hour. That's one option, subscription plans. The other option is just to enroll in one specific course. That's another option. You can just purchase enrollment for one student for one course, and you can do that by a single $125 payment. Or even there, you could do it using a payment plan where it can only cost $12.50 to enroll the kid in one course. So there are lots of options. Even paid enrollment is affordable. But if you want to have your child complete modern high school diploma requirements, he can get to work in them for free. You can make paid arrangements if you want to. In addition to the required diploma courses, you can add CLAA courses for enrichment. And all of this information, just to wrap this up and finish this talk, all of this is available in an article that I posted. There's a link on the left menu of how to earn a high school diploma in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy. So it's a lot of information. I'm happy to help with any questions or any practical details you want to get into. Maybe your state has some different requirements and you'd like to honor those requirements and some adjustments need to be made. You want to talk about those things, get into the details, just get in touch with me. Post on the forum where I'll happily respond in detail to your questions. It's also beneficial because other parents can read. They can maybe learn from your questions or my responses to your questions or our back and forth discussions. It may also trigger some thoughts and questions in their own unique circumstances, and it just benefits the whole community by posting questions on the forum. Or email me if it's private and you'd like to keep it private, mail@classicalliberarts.com. So I hope that's helpful. An overview of how to complete the requirements for a modern high school diploma within Classical Catholic Studies of the Classical Liberal Arts Academy. God bless your studies.